is grace-based parenting. So we are supposed to learn how to be able to raise our children in a godly manner. The session for today is going to be dwelling on conception. And before we begin, we need to be able to understand that parenting does not only begin when a child is born, the physical child is born, but this foundation needs to begin even before birth. It is a sacred commitment that we are doing, that we are giving to our children. And so we need to be able to begin it in a very in a good way. And just as God had told Jeremiah, he knew him before he was born. And it is only God who knit us together in our mother's womb. So that journey needs to be able to begin there. Now, a few things that we need to put on straight before we begin the session is that we need to be able to have, if you want to speak, you can be able to raise your hand so that you can be able to be given a chance to raise a question that you may have. Otherwise, all the questions will be put on the chat. Then we will have a moment to go through those questions. Now, so that we can be able to know who our speakers are, we have Dr. John Samson Otieno, who is a counselor and a psychologist by profession. And we also have Miss Anisha with us here, who is also a psychologist specializing in child play therapy. So these are very professional persons that we have here, and we are going to have a moment with them for the next 7 sessions. So I'll just give them 1 minute to greet us, then we can jump into our first session. Dr. Oteyo?
Good evening, everyone. I'm hoping that it's only Kenya, but if there are others from the other parts of the world, good morning, good afternoon, from wherever you are logged in. Thank you. Welcome for this session.
Thank you so much. Miss Anisha?
Good evening. How are you, wherever you are? I hope you're well. As she said, my name is Anisha Otieno. I am a counseling psychologist and I mostly work with children. I practice something called dyadic developmental psychotherapy. So basically that's between parent and children. I'm so glad to be here and I hope we have a wonderful time learning together. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So I'm just going to start this off. In many instances, we really wait for our newborn child. We prepare everything that we need to be able to prepare. We prepare the clothes, we go for hospital appointments and all those things. And we say that we are really ready to parent this child. I don't know whether this is true for us, but this is the thing that we want to really understand. At what point do we begin this parenting? So Dr. Oteyo, can you be able to lay this foundation for us to be able to clearly understand when we need to be able to begin this process? Over to you, Dr.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Miriam. A few things will require graphic presentations, but I will be dropping as my sessions end. Confirm that I'm audible, please, Miriam.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. I want to agree with you that in our society, and even the worst of it, even in our constitution, life begins at birth. But science and the scriptures have demonstrated otherwise. and trying to tell us that pregnancy is not a passive waiting room. And parenting does not begin when the umbilical cord is cut. And of course, it is historical, and that graphic is trying to tell us that even great constitutions, they confirm that life begins at birth, and most of the time we are given birth certificates. I've never heard about where we are given the conception certificates. And I think there was a time I was teaching my students the developmental psychology, and I was thinking, like, do I petition the government of Kenya such that they begin issuing conception certificates? Because I have a strong belief, not now, it has been with me, that life begins and parenting begins at conception. So that is the basis of this debate. But the first thing that we need to understand that science and the scriptures, they are telling us, they're giving us evidence to support this argument that we are talking about. Like the verse that Miriam quoted, Jeremiah 1-5, that is, God talks about a new, the baby before he was born, and all that dynamics that we are talking about. So the first question that I need to ask the audience who are listening to us, when did this journey begin in the first place? All of us, we started somewhere. The parenting journey begins somewhere. There are people who are in this audience who began their parenting journey. They planned about it. They laid down the procedure, trying to plan when they are going to conceive. And they tracked down the exact ovulation minutes and all that is needed, and they got prepared. Allow me to call them, those are project babies. Because you have a plan, you have a project, you have about it. You have gotten married in the first year, you're still making a plans on how to get that baby of yours, and that we can call it a project baby. But sometimes the journey of conception begins, you didn't plan it as such, but maybe somewhere you went out, you were so happy, you got excited, and maybe things didn't work. All of things were so good, and after coming together a few weeks, you get news from your spouse that things are not the way we think. Of course, we are shocked, or you get shocked, and maybe allow me to call that journey the oops baby. Then some of us want us to lower our defenses. It is very possible that our babies that we are having, or the grown-up babies that we are having, in a way they came at a time we least expected. Our career was in its climax. Our demands of life were around us, and coming together, there you were. You got what I can call the third category, the broad twist baby. That is the person who came to your life, or the baby who came to your life, and you're feeling like, it is going to affect my career progression. It is going to affect what I wanted to do. Yeah, you may have begun that journey like that. Then some of us, it's very possible, it will give you an opportunity in the chance to be sharing that, can you be able to classify your babies? It's not African, but for this conversation, because we want to arrive at somewhere. Some of us, we got our firstborn, our secondborn, then maybe that was the arrangements we had. Then you waited for so long, then after that, oh my God, a surprise bonus baby came, the grand finale, the bonus babies. And why am I taking you to all these? I'm masking the conceptual realities that we have in our lives as you think about it. it affects our first reaction. All these categories, of course, what we have to agree, irrespective whether it is a project baby, irrespective whether it is a hopes baby, irrespective whether it was a twist baby, whether it was a grand finale baby, whatever the name that you can call it, there's one common thing that we have to agree here. We have a biological task of parenting them. We don't have actually the babies, but they can be surprise roommates because they came at different times, because sometimes our family life can be messy and beautifully chaotic. So why we are saying that conception begins is by understanding how did it begin, because you find like when you give birth to a baby that we planned, meticulously planned about it, what could be the first initial reaction of the mother? And that first initial reaction of the mother, in a way, affects our emotions, and by extension, it also affects the baby, and to some level, it can affect the father. The project mothers, most of the time, they suffer aggravation and emotions, anxiety, and perfections. Because you want to be perfect. You want to do things the way they are supposed to be done. And those kind of emotions, in one way or another, they affect the prenatal chemistry of the mother, and something needs to be done either with the mother or the father to ensure that it does not affect the baby, because the conception is like a blueprint, is the beginning. That is what we are saying. Parenting is beginning at that level. If it is the hopes baby or the broad twist baby, what happens? There's panic, there's sharp stress that is coming. What happens? The stress hormones like cortisol is released. And we know very well when the stress hormones, are released, what usually happens? That can override the placenta protective enzymes, and in a way, it affects the baby and it also affects the mother at the same time. So, all these emotions that we have talked about, and for the grand finale baby, for example, it can come out of excitement and you are very much experienced, not like the project baby that you are not very sure what is supposed to be done. Perhaps it can evoke happy feelings, and that is the happiness we are talking about. So the point, my good friends, I'm trying to say, how we begin this journey, whether it is the project baby, whether it is a hopes baby, whether it is the plot twist baby, whether it is the grand finale baby, we experience certain initial emotions. For the project baby, anxiety, opposition, and perfectionists are the emotions. For the hopes baby, the initial emotions are shock, panic, and that creates certain changes and frantic lifestyle reactive adjustments. Then, for the broad twist baby, grief, resentments, because it is not something you planned about. Then, perhaps for the grand finale, there's nothing much you can do. It has just happened. And sometimes some people feel happy. And all these, it can affect the brain structure or the nervous system of the baby. You can see how you began your conception journey and how it is affecting the baby. For example, research has shown like when there is prenatal stress, it reduces the white matter growth in the hippocampus, which is the center for learning and memory. The same neuroimaging data indicates to us that the stress that we are talking about, which can happen because of either the ops baby or the broad twist baby, it also affects the fetal development of the amygdala, which is the center for emotions, and the baby will be in constant perceived threat, and that can cause anxiety on the baby. And sometimes when such a baby is programmed that way, it becomes very difficult to suit, and they are ever crying most of the time, and they can be vulnerable to adolescent depression. We are telling mothers to be aware. If, for example, when you go back who are expectant, you categorize where you began from. Some of us, we may not do very much, but we are looking back and we can be educators to educate others. What is this that I need to do such that I can deal with the original emotions that I had, because they can affect the programming of my baby? So, yes, as I wrap it up, the same thing, that stress hormones can affect the maternal vasoconstriction, which means the severe narrowing of the blood vessels, and this can stop the umbilical cord for bigger oxygen, and this can lead to low birth weight when the baby is born. The same thing, the stress hormones can affect the development of the muscles. And what happens, because the body is prepared for fire, to keep the energy for future, you find that there's a lot of fat that is stored, and permanently that child is likely to have a risk of diabetes. So, my good friends, I'm here to tell you that the parenting duties begin at the second you discover that the two cells are made. Do not wait for the delivery room. Your daily choices right now are scripting your child's biological destiny. God manages the activity of our womb, but the parents manage the environment. Let us manage the womb environment with grace, intention, and absolute stewardship. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Daktari, for clearly elaborating that parenting begins in the womb. And I just like the way you have called the different types of babies: the oops baby, the hope baby, the grand finale baby. And I mean, each one of us here has experienced that. But now we want to understand further, what is the role of the three people within this conception? And when I talk about the three people, I basically mean the mother, the father, and this unborn child. And we want to ask Anisha to take us through and unpack for us this triangle.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daktari. Thank you so much, Miriam. I hope, I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. So the question here is, how do we look at the triangle, the father, the mother, and the fetus? Now, I know we normally look at the womb as just being a container for holding the baby, but it's just not a container. This is actually the first place where your baby is going to develop the emotional, he's going to understand his emotional environment. And I'm talking about before language even develops, before memory becomes conscious to the baby, to the fetus. The fetus is already learning. And how is the baby learning through this? We look at the emotional tone, the hormones that the baby is getting from the mother. Now, when the mother is singing, I know most ladies here who have been pregnant before, when you're happy, you're singing, you're having a good time, and maybe the things around you, you're okay, your emotional state is okay, your physical well-being is okay, you're well taken care of, your fetus is also okay. Now, all the baby here is learning safety through the rhythm, how you're dancing, how you're singing, how you're moving how you are actually relating to the environment around you, be it your spouse, be it the people who surround you. The baby is learning stress, is learning connection and emotional tone through the nervous system of the mother. And this is where, Miriam, the role of the mother and the father become deeply interconnected. Now, remember here that this mother who's carrying the unborn child is just not simply carrying the baby physically. She becomes the baby's first regulator. When the mother's body communicates continuously through her hormones, her heartbeat, and everything that happens, all these states actually affect the baby. And I'm sure there are medics around and they can confirm this. Everything that the mother goes through affects the unborn baby. Okay, but if I want us to look at a situation whereby there's a mother who is pregnant and she's having a very difficult time. Her family, maybe there's some stressors, maybe internal or external. I'm talking about real chronic stress, okay? There's good stress that is good for a human being, but then there's the chronic stress that is actually affecting the baby. So look at this mother who's constantly overwhelmed, and this mother is constantly depressed, emotionally neglected, or this woman feels safe. Of course, what's going to happen is that the stress hormone like cortisol is going to become a very major part of the environment where the baby is adapting to. And this environment is in the utero, in the womb, right? Now, this does not mean that the mother or should be fearful, should become fearful or guilty whenever they feel stressed. No. Pregnancy is normal, it's human, and it's not about perfection. But what is going to matter here the most is about the repair, the support, and the regulation, plus the connection that now we are going to look at how the father comes in. And I know most fathers are normally a bit they step back a bit when the woman is pregnant, and they let the woman carry, in quotes, the pregnancy alone. You men, you have a very big and a very important role to play. And what you help as a father or as the father of the baby, the unborn baby, is that you shape the climate, the emotional climate surrounding the pregnancy. All right. If you're supportive and you're emotionally available as a father, you become a covering around the mother and the unborn child. And surely research has now shown that when all women who are pregnant, when they have a safe and a supportive partner, their stress level reduces significantly. And now to pose a question to the people who are listening with us here. All those mothers who've been pregnant and during that pregnancy, they were stressed. They were under constant stress. They were not okay. They were not even prepared for the pregnancy. I can ask you, how did that baby turn out? You know what I mean. So basically what I'm saying is that when you were really stressed during that pregnancy, that baby came out a bit difficult, if I'm allowed to say. So your environment emotionally as a mother who's carrying the unborn child greatly influences their unborn child. And you fathers really play this part because you're not a spectator in this pregnancy. You are not a spectator. All right. You are the nervous system protectors. All right. Even the way you speak to the woman, even how fathers speak to the woman, the mother matters a lot. How the father handles conflict matters a lot, because even the voice of the father with the unborn child, the child is able to understand, even recognize the voice of the father at birth. There's some women who are known to, some wonderful, amazing fathers who are known to hold the belly of their pregnant women, talk to the baby, even sing to the baby. And doctors and even the gynos can tell you when the baby is delivered, and this father had a very good connection with the unborn child in the womb, the baby actually recognizes the voice, recognizes the scent. And this is also to even urge fathers, as when your baby is being born, please stay in the delivery room, hold your baby on your chest, on your naked chest, on your clean skin to skin. It creates attachment. So I am urging all fathers that do not be a spectator. We're never supposed to be spectators in the fathers in this journey, because you play a part that is going to help and form your baby's first emotional environment. All right. So it's going to depend on you whether this baby is going to have a chaotic environment or is going to have a calm environment. And this early relationship do not disappear after birth. So they become part of the foundation of attachment, emotional regulation, and even the nervous system development of the child. So this is why parenting, I want to agree with Dr. Oteyo that parenting does not just begin at the delivery room. is that in the utero. Back to you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anisha and Dr. Oteyo, for enlightening us in that area of conception and how conception is very, very important. Now, I'm just wondering, so if conception is very important and it lays a foundation of how this child is going to turn out, so is that the only thing that we need to focus on, or there are other stages, or there are other levels where parenting is really needed? Daktari, take us through that one.
Thank you, Miriam, for this. What we are trying to say is conception is the foundation. Conception is the anchor stage. This is where we get the blueprint, the genetic foundation, and the essential blueprint, the emotional regulation, as correctly put by Anisha. And that we have to be intentional and deliberate. And whatever that happens on this anchor stage determines what is going to happen in the subsistence stage, as we'll be able to show that, especially in our series 7. But this time, we have begun our first session, we have begun with conception, where we are going to demonstrate, trying to challenge the myth that conception or parenting beginning at birth. But we are saying it begins at conception with the many illustrations that we have already given and the one to follow. Then that will be followed by the second stage of parenting, and that is caregiving. And in caregiving, the major focus for the parent is to provide nurturing and attachment and bonding. Then that moves to the next series in the workshop, the commanding stage in parenting. And the major focus here is about setting the boundaries and the rules, the discipline, the structure, and the obedience. So here, the second stage, the care giving, the mother and the father, they are more of caregivers. But here, they behave like the cops, because this is where they lay down the do's and the don'ts. And you realize, and if we are professionals here, there are two major constructs that we use when we are measuring the parenting style. That is the responsiveness and the demandingness. Responsiveness is the level that we are warm, we are responsive to the needs of the child. Demandingness is where we demand control and we set strict rules. And you will realize the demandingness and responsiveness is increasing over the stage towards the co-negotiation. So after the commanding, we move to the coaching, and the major focus here is skill building and guiding the potential and the cooperative training. And you could see here, there is now greater demandingness and increasing responsiveness than what was there in the previous stages. But when it reaches the core negotiations, and these parenting stages have years. For example, 0 to 2, caregiving. I think 3 to 5, commanding. Then we are having coaching up to around, I think, 13. Then the negotiation 13 to around, is it around 25? But we have read that. Then, lastly, we have the consultancy stage, the stage where we are talking about the adults. You see, the adult children who could be in college or who are young adults. And in that case, it is not about the demandingness. It's not about the responsiveness. And remember, this stage is like they are gradual. They are building to each other. And the aspect of control, we are giving away the aspect of control as we progress. So by the time you reach the consultant stage, this is now where you need wisdom, you need knowledge, and the competence and the right attitude such that you become a consultant. The child is consulting you. You are just an advisor. And it is very possible in our audience, we may have been fixated. We overstayed in the caregiving and the commanding, and we expect a miracle to happen in the 60th stage. So in our discussions, we'll be able to look at if there were fixations. What is how can we transit from one stage to another? And that is what we're going to do in session 7. After we have covered in each of the stages, so stage 7 or series 7 will be able to see how do the blueprint influence the other stages. Like this arrow that is going the prenatal stress and causal that happened in the conception can affect a child at the commanding stage, a child who throws tantrums, a child who is not ready to take instructions because he has his programming began from the conception where he went or took away with the stress and the cortisol, such that the child is screaming to you not because he's not taking the instruction, but the programming happened in the conception. The same way, which we said, for example, when there is poor mass or growth at the conception because of too much stress, that can affect in the stage of coaching, because at coaching there is rapid growth here. The child is engaged in so much games, the child is in school, and the problem happened at the conception. So in session 7, that is what we're going to demonstrate, such that if you mismanage the first stage, the problems in the other stages could be coming from there, and you can be assisted to overcome. If you got fixated in any of the stages, what are some of the challenges that you have faced, such that when you are worried, why is not my son settling down? Where is my daughter not settling down? It's 32 years. The challenge could be the parenting, but don't live in regrets. Professionals are there who can assist you on how to deal with that fixation, such that you can transit and assist your son or your daughter in the most appropriate way. Our last session would be is after we have learned all these, what is our take home? What is the Lord of the dad in the family covenant? What is the role of the mother in the family covenant? What is the role of the child in the family covenant? And this covenant, the source of this covenant, and this is where we are laying our grace-based parenting. It is God. And from God, we get unconditional grace, unconditional love, and the spiritual wealth which he gives to the man, the head of the family, the king, the priest, the father, the husband, the assets to give the madam. And the assets, we are calling them cash, the comfort and the care, the affection, the support and the honesty, the cash that the husband gives to the wife, the care, even during the conception, even during the care giving, the comfort, the care, the sacrificial love that we give to our wives, the support that we give them, the honest and the transparency. We have deposited a check. The madam being a multiplier, he gives you back the honor. She will become honest. She will become obedient and submissive. She will demonstrate the noble character. She will be open to you, and together you are reunited, and respect is earned. And what happens to the children? We give them the assets. We give them the hope as parents. We deposit in our children the assets, the affirmations, the security that we give them, the structure and discipline, the engagement and responsiveness, and the truth and the spiritual legacy that we give them. They could give us the hope. They could give us the honor, the obedience, the beauty in their character, and the self-worth. And that begins from conception to the end consultancy. If that doesn't happen, my good friends, and we're going to demonstrate that in session 8, there will always be deaths. Those who are in the commerce, they can understand. I'm sorry I went the commerce way. We have women, we have the men wako na deni wa mama. Sijui, those who are in the audience, muko na deni, instead of giving cash, you are giving austerity. You are giving unfairness. You are giving resentment. Liba deni, my brother. Liba deni. By giving it cash to madam, give her care, give her comfort, give her affection, give her support, give her the honesty. Wamama mko na deni. You are too nagging, my dear sister. You are so disrespectful. You criticize us a lot instead of giving us the honor that we need, the honesty, the obedience, nobility, openness, and the unity and the respect. Our children, muko na deni na sisi. You are disobeying and you are indisciplined. And let me tell you, our children, when you act out in rebellion and continuous discipline, this leads to emotional and structural deficit in the home. And that drains the relational account, just as the parent neglect and marital coldness. This is our series. Thank you. Back to you, Mariam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. You've really laid that foundation and you have shown us that we are going to move from one stage to another. And I think it's our dream to get to the, you call it consultative stage, where the children just come and ask you and you release wisdom. Yeah, I think that is our dream. But before we get there, and it is our desire to have children who are raised up in a godly manner. I want you to give us practical examples of what we need to do, especially during the conceptual stage. And I'm going to do this because we have two presenters of either gender. We have a male and we have a female. So Anisha, you're going to tell us, as a mother, what prenatal self-care habits do we need to be able to be engaged in? Tujipende aje ndio mtoto atokeze vizuri. Then we have Dr. Oteyo. You're going to tell us, fathers, what do you need to do? How much cash do we need to release so that this baby comes out well? Okay? So that is what we want to hear. Over to you, Anisha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miriam. What do I need to do as a mother? Okay. So we've agreed that pregnancy is just not about bonding from birth. The moment you give birth to your baby, I want you to understand that it's not about when you give birth to your baby. It starts right in your womb. And as I said earlier, the baby understands the rhythm, the voice. They can feel the external environment. They can feel the internal atmosphere of the mother, the emotional issues that mother is going through. And as a play therapist, I often say that when a woman is pregnant, you can start playing with your baby right there in your womb, in the utero. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but play is just not about having toys and having someone you can see. It's practical when there is a safer prenatal environment, and this one is going to start with having an emotionally regulated lady who's pregnant. Ladies, I know when we are pregnant, our emotions run havoc at times, especially if you have smaller toddlers and the house is full. You being a wife, you're working, you're managing a lot of stuff. You go through a lot, and at this particular moment, you find like you're easy to flare. Your anger is kind of, at some point, nalipuka. You'll get out of control. I'm not saying that we should suppress these emotions. I'm just saying that learn to have emotional regulation. If something is going to tick you off, it is your toddler. Have a support system whereby someone can take the baby, the small one, the toddler or the other ones for a while so that you can have your own time. Be emotionally regulated, because remember, all the emotions that you feel, all the emotions that you go through are passed on to the fetus, are passed on to the unborn child in your womb. So you need as much support system as possible. Please try and reduce stress. So you gotta be first of all, you gotta be emotionally regulated. Try. Secondly, I'm going to talk about intentional connection moments. So what is intentional? Like I've seen women when they're pregnant, they always have this funny sitting style, especially when the baby's it's around bigger than 5 months or so. So they always sit back and then they rub their belly. I don't think they do this. Some of us might do it intentionally, but some are just doing it without thinking. And now I'm talking about have intentional connection. Rub your baby gently, speak to your baby. This is actually playing. Speak to your baby. And I've seen mothers come to those ones who go to church on Sabbath school when they are doing their beginner class. You sing to the child when the child is in the womb. Singing helps. And those people who pray and read to their baby, you can read to your child during this time. And also at this particular moment, I know Dr. Oteyo is going to talk about the fathers, but this is a part where the fathers also need to also take part. Hold the babies, hold your woman's womb and speak to your child. Have rhythmic breathing exercises. The autonomic nervous system controls your breathing, your heart rate, everything. Yes. But you can actually override it and take control of your breathing. That is why when you're angry, you breathe quickly. But if you actually practice it, you can reduce that breathing, because through breathing systematically, rhythmically, you reduce your level of stress, you reduce your level of stress, okay? Then third, reduce chronic stress exposure. So constant screaming, we as women, we are nagging. Sometimes it's even you find yourself nagging or saying something and you realize that you shouldn't have said that. And most of us, we are parenting from our own experiences. Sometimes I can say something, then I realize, oh my goodness, that sounded like my mom. I sounded like my mother back there. Things that I saw I'd never want to do. So things that are going to expose you to a lot of stress, please reduce them. I'm talking about violence. I'm talking about emotional neglect. I'm talking about severe conflict, chaotic environments. Anything that affect you physiologically automatically will affect the child. Be aware of that. Then the fourth one is sensory soothing. Now, sensory, of course, from the word our senses, soft music, calm walk. Those who can walk, who don't have a problem with sensory things, you can walk maybe barefoot on your grass, on your lawn. Be around some nature, walk, laugh, be in the sunlight. Sunlight is very important. Drink enough water, be hydrated, yeah? And rest at all costs. Please rest. I encourage all of us that when a woman you track those moments of your pregnancy, because this is where you intentionally ask, like, how is your emotional environment today? What environment? Because remember, you are creating the environment, you're giving the blueprint of how your child is going to experience the world. Remember, these children are going to learn about themselves in the womb, not after they come out. It starts in the womb, because the child is going to hold the good, the bad of everything that the mother experiences. So be intentional. Look around you. What environment are you exposing your unborn child to? All right. What do you think your baby is experiencing through you as the mother today? So when you are aware as a parent, all right, when you're aware you do not just be automatic, you become intentional. Something powerful happens and you create the most beautiful emotional atmosphere for your child right there in the womb, and it increases gentleness. So just to wind it up, it's please take care of your emotional well-being, avoid chronic stress, get support. Women, get support. I know you're super women. You're very strong. You can juggle 3 or 4 or 5 things at a go. But please take care of yourself and ask for help. Back to you, Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you. Anisha. You're making some of us feel baby blues already. But we don't want to get there because we have not learned how we want to parent these children. Daktari, take us through what the fathers need to do. How much cash they need to give us. Over to you, Daktari.
I'm telling you as I wait for my sister to bring a presentation down, I'm here regrettably saying that I wish I got all this information because I owe Madam Beatrice a lot in terms of niko na deni in the sense that for me, I have the three types of that I talked about. Like our first born was the project baby. We really planned about it. Our second born was Beatrice, and my mom is project baby, because mom used to send fears to her that if you don't get a son, it's like you are not yet married. You are creating a favorable environment for that gentleman to remarry. Then for me, it was like a plot twist because that time I was doing my master's. There was a lot of stress around me, but there we lived with it. And then we have a grand finale. Yeah, I remember that time we were so happy moving all over. You can imagine the excitement you have with a new car and having a little things, you have transited to another place of work. So I'm having all those grand finale. And when I look back, I see like there's a lot I didn't do as a father. As I was preparing this, I had to ask for forgiveness, although she told me still the sky is there. So in terms of the amount of cash, which is the relational currents that I'm talking about, is the men in the house who still have an opportunity to redeem themselves. Of course, care is so broad. And you see, we can use the word cash casually. So sometimes madam tells me, Pesa ya mwanaume ni tamu. And let me tell you, the little gestures that we do, they mean a lot to the expectant spouses and they mean a lot to the children. I'm talking about the care, not necessarily the care of for example, giving and providing, even the simple, treasured, and value aspects like touch and kissing. That is very, very, very useful because it demonstrates the closeness that we are talking about. And for the biology psychologists who are in here and the medics, you could understand when that happens, when a person feels treasured and values, the oxytocin emotion, the hormone for love is released, and which is a very soothing hormone in life. We are talking about undivided presence and attention. The men of our current generation, we've been taken away by our phones. We have been taken away by our games. I'm an Arsenal fan. So sometimes it takes me away from her. And let me tell you, and because I've witnessed this before, madam, and the mothers who are in here, pregnancy comes with a lot of moods, comes with a lot of behavioral discomfort. Like I remember our firstborn, madam was not eating very well, and you can imagine we had 1.2, and she was vomiting so much, 1.2 kg by the time she was being given birth. Mtoto alikaa kama chupa dogo sana. Then I think the second born also she had a lot of troubles. You can imagine all those mood things. Then instead of you being away in your place of work, because some of our families with dual career couples, then the best you go is to go to your TV, is to go to your phone. But let me tell you, a look and proxemics. Proxemics is that closeness. You just deliberately come closer to the person. It can do a miracle. It can do a miracle. Let's talk about practical support. I want to challenge the men here in the house. What is this that we can assist our spouses in terms of duties, in terms of assisting them, taking them to the appointments, trying to ensure, to track that there is good supply of what they need in terms of devices, whether these iron supplies and all that. And look at how much it will have towards the baby. The aspect of honesty, total trust, and transparency, especially on issues of fidelity, which in one way or another also is going to prevent from engaging in other or bringing out other infections that is going to affect the child. And you see, that is a key word because ladies, they are emotional beings. That security they get from total trust and transparency in one way or another, it translates again to the baby, as collectively put by Anisa. The baby will be reading the sensory and the atmosphere of the prenatal environment of the mother. And the secure attachment begins there. I can tell you in secure attachments, whether avoidant, whether it is organized, whether anxious, it has really made relationship to break when we are adults. But it begins at conception and it begins at the caring stage. So what I'm trying to say as I wrap it up is the care we give, the attention we give, the support we give, and the honest, the absolute security and transparency in terms of identity, total trust and commitment, it affects the mother, emotional health effects, because it will lead to reduced anxiety, improved sleep, emotional stability, and it can also make them to adhere to medical appointments, medical medications, and that by extension, it improves the development of the child, and of course, the immunoimbalance, and of course, the honesty, that emotional blueprint that we create. And the fact that we ration our early compromising behavior because we trust our spouses in a way, it enables the development of the fetus in the correct way. Still, I'm emphasizing that as men, we need to provide the currency, which is the sensory language that the mothers can understand, and by extension, the babies can understand. Thank you, and back to you.
I think we are moving on so well. In the next hour, we just want to debunk a few things with regards to what we have thought that we shouldn't do during pregnancy. And I think this one will, the men will be clapping for us over here. Because for a long time, we've been thinking that intimacy is a no-go zone. Unajua nimebeba mtoto, maybe the woman would say so. But we also have health-related don'ts that we need to understand that probably may affect the outcome of the baby or how the relationship between the parents and those kind of things. So we just want to take a few minutes to have Anisha taking us through these myths surrounding relationship, intimacy, cravings, and also Dr. Oteyo will tell us to take us through the health compromising behaviors, the things we shouldn't engage in as mother and father, so that we can be able to have or give the child a good biological foundation. So kindly take us through these aspects. Over to you, Anisha.
Thank you, Miriam. This is interesting, especially the matter of intimacy. And I know for us ladies, we use it as an excuse sometimes. Sometimes it's real, but anyway, it is what it is, yeah? So the first myth I want to debunk is that a pregnancy is solely a woman's responsibility. We've seen that it's not. So from now henceforth, all the people who are here, the ones who are still in the route of having babies, please remember that it is not solely a woman's responsibility. Now, another harmful myth that I've heard is that emotional distress during pregnancy is normal drama. Mimba inakuwaga hivyo, that is how it is, and that women should learn to simply endure it silently. It's not a big deal. She's pregnant, she's not sick. Yeah, that is the term I've had. You're pregnant, you're not sick, so please behave. Okay. Remember that this woman is carrying anxiety. This woman is sometimes lonely. This woman sometimes has fear or is even depressed during the pregnancy. And I assume that this woman does not have enough support. And this woman is being judged. Talk about those pregnancy, Dr. called them the oops pregnancy. Talk about those ones that you were not really intending to. You had not planned for them and it has happened. So look at this woman, then you want to assume that this woman is pretending or she should handle herself well. It's not that simple. We must stop glorifying silent suffering. If someone is suffering, they need to be helped. If a woman is not okay during pregnancy, they need to be helped. Another harmful belief that you've mentioned is about that you stop emotional or romantic connection during pregnancy. I've talked about being emotional connected during pregnancy. And if the mother is happy, the fetus is happy. So emotional closeness actually is not dangerous. In fact, it's very healthy because it shows affection. Excuse me, the woman feels reassured, and there is gentle communication and emotional. It will increase the emotional intimacy, increases the feelings. Dr. talked about oxytocin. Those hormones that affect the level of stress, that gives level of stress, it will affect it. If a woman gets enough attention and affection during the pregnancy, she's going to be okay. She will need to reduce the stress hormones during this time. Then the other myth is using of alcohol and substance abuse. I know people say that, oh, it's just a little bit to relax, it's good. Or they give themselves a certain period of gestation that, from this month, you can have a little bit of wine. Again, I'm speaking to the general population here. So it is not okay, because we have something called fetal alcohol syndrome, whereby children who are born of mothers who are using alcohol, the children develop something, and that's something that the medics in the house can explain further. So alcohol is not okay. You need to be healthy. So it is not any substance that it's going to affect the neural pathway of the nervous system, should be avoided completely. And there's some culture whereby the men tend to stay away from, especially when during the birth, which we'll talk about. Again, we are really sensitizing men that women need emotional support. All right. And pregnancy should not only focus on the nursery, preparing the nursery and getting all the clothes ready, going for shopping. It should focus on preparing the emotional climate of the family. Okay. I strongly suggest, strongly say that a mother's emotional well climate and the climate of the family is very important. Don't say that because the child was pregnant, none of the emotional chaos is affecting the child. I strongly focus on that, because it does affect. And babies do not only arrive into the houses, they arrive into our nervous system. So if there is no medical explanation why a woman should not do something, if there is no medical issue, then things that are healthy, affection, being affectionate, being around people who are supportive, it should be encouraged as much as possible. And of course, there's also that part that you're supposed also to do some exercise. Don't just sit there and then you're not moving, because it will give you problems. So do little exercises as much as possible that you can do. Go out, speak, talk to people, do your normal duties that you can, as long as it does not affect you physically or medically. I think Daktari can add the rest. Thank you.
Yes, Daktari, kindly add on to that list what health aspects or health risk behaviors shouldn't we engage in?
Thank you, Anisha, for that elaborative need that you've given. And as correctly put it, that it's high time for the men in the house to realize that pregnancy is not a maternal journey alone. It is a co-parenting journey. And I want to answer this question that you have just asked me by looking at both the maternal health compromising behaviors and the paternal health compromising behaviors, and what is this that can be done to ensure that we don't affect the health of the mother, by extension, we don't affect the development and the growth of the fighters. Now, there are various things, either they're ignored or they're not done, that really compromise the health of the mother. One of them is the issue of prompt medical checkups, such that certain conditions can be identified in advance, knowing very well the medics in the house that there is mother-to-child transmission. And we are really advanced in our medical world in the sense that we even have a clinic, the PMDC, that is the prevention of mother to child clinics, where the mothers can attend and be given some of these services. But sometimes we postpone, sometimes we do not even go to them. And by extension, we could be having infections, and those infections go back to the or they're transmitted to the child, and it affects, of course, the development of the child. Like now we know the effect syphilis can have. We know the effect the HIV can have on the child. Now, not only that, the aspect of the rhesus factor, which is a key thing, and the medics in the house can speak competently in this, the aspect of anemia, something that can be prevented, but it comes to happen, and that could have been prevented. Then another thing that is very common, remember when somebody has conceived, there are a lot of changes that has happened because of the mono imbalances. There's a lot of spots, pimples, and that stuff. And obviously, as ladies, we could struggle to return our skins back. And that makes us to make an attempt of using the skin care chemicals that could be very, very, very dangerous, both for yourself and even to us. Then there are also myths, these are also myths that we want to counteract about aggressive pelvic grooming, which sometimes, because right now, remember very well, and the medics in the house can talk more competent in this. I'm not relying on my biological psychology that I learned, that when somebody is expectant, the immunity and other things have really come down. So any change or something else can really trigger some infections. So like that aggressive grooming in preparation to giving birth, such that I'm not punched by the nurses and that stuff. Madam Anisa talked about the use of a thought, tobacco, and other drugs, and how they affect the baby. We talk about the Vater syndrome babies, the fussy babies. You give birth, but you give to a disfigured a baby, which nobody wants that. Another common disease that is happening in the modern world is the digital trap. Ladies here, you are bingeing in terms of your screen time, which really affect your sleep patterns, which really affect your normal practices. And they also encourages even the sedentary behavior that Madam talked about. So you'll find that because you are exposed too much to the TikTok, so much to the social media, your nervous system is stressed. Equally, another thing which is very interesting here is about the unsafe craving. Because a lot is needed in terms of nutrients, it is very possible that the divisions can happen and the pregnancy can give you very unique craving. And this takes me back to my journey, my parenting journey together with Beatrice. The first one, Beatrice had a craving for biribiri. she could put it to the level that, in fact, you was married in the house and you are shocked. The second one, the most terrible one, she really had a craving for certain stores that are sold in the market and nyama choma, especially the matumbo one. And one time, I remember we went together and there were a lot of flies, and I asked her, how can we come in such a place? He told me, in fact, these are the sweetest. This is the sweetest that I can take. I remember the scenario after that. The tapeworms that he experienced made, in fact, in our third pressings, there were no cravings. So, good friends, what I'm trying to say is, there are certain things that we can avoid or mothers can avoid such that the healthy is not compromised and the health of the child is not compromised. And equally, we have the father's risks, and those father's risks, in a way, they affect the mothers. For example, the aspect of sexual risk-taking behaviors. And let me tell you, and I want to talk to the men. We live at an excuse that we have been denied our intimacy. What happens? We begin having extra marital relationships out there, even sometimes, which is a lie. And if it is, you can talk about it. The answer is not the extramarital sexual relations out there. And some men engage in pornographic and masturbation, which are addictive behaviors, such that by the time you are coming back to your normal lifestyle, you are unable because you are you are now in a comparison trap. You want your spouse to behave like a porn star, which is not possible because some of those things are manipulated. Then another thing is aspect of the domestic environment, as we correctly put it. The pregnancy comes with a lot of emotions, a lot of turmoil. You as the husband, you as the father, please, we need not to engage in emotional neglect, and we get the digital escape to isolate the mother. You are always away, or you are Arsenal watching, you are always with your phone, you are always watching, and that really, really affects the mother, and they could potentially promote or lead to conflict. Then there's the aspect of the second-hand toxic tracking, like for the fathers who are smokers. Remember, there's the second-hand source of smoke, and the aspect of some of us, we are farmers. Like me, I'm in my village. Sometimes I go out there to spray the chemicals, and I come home with all those clothes, and I'm together with madam seated. In fact, what I'm doing and polluting that environment because she inhales that, and by that extension, you'll find that it has affected her. So the point we're trying to say here is both the mothers and the fathers and the compromising behaviors, they can affect the mother, and by extension, they affect the fetus. For example, we have talked about the use of alcohol and the use of the skin enhancing chemicals. It can lead to deformities, the fatal deformities, like the fussy baby that we talked about. We have also talked about some of the mercury skin related for the skin wear. It can permanently rewire the amygdala of the child. Nicotine and caffeine and stress really constricts the placenta blood flow, which can really cause to the low part weight. And of course, some aspect like dodging. I hope you understand dodging. It can really affect the immune sac or immune sac infections. You have this dream that maybe by becoming expectant, I'm not as good as I am expected by my spouse, and then you are given myths and advices that instead of building, you are destroying your uterine environment, and by extension, you may not even get what you are looking for. So basically, good friends, there is need for health promoting factors or promoting behaviors, both from the mother and the father. As the father, you need to be a protector. You need to provide. You need to support to support your spouse during this difficult journey. And for the ladies, there are good things you can do. Like after this, going to see the new start strategy, the new start strategy that you can engage, which is a healthy way of living, and you can do certain things. And the men in the house, as much as Madam's skin is not as good you could wish, sometimes even a position and telling them you all will be well. That in itself is very comforting for them, not to be chasing the toning chemicals, either because they want to have the social capital to please you, such that you don't go out there for the others who are guilty. By giving them comfort, by providing them with cash, you can overcome that. So the cash currency is a redeemer. Your support system for the baby and for the mother is needed for others in the house. In the promotion of the prenatal sanctuary outcome. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Daktari, and thank you, Anisha, for taking us through these myths and what is not true and what actually we need to be able to engage in. And I think that makes it even lighter and easier, that so that we should not see this whole journey as something that is very tiresome or torturing or stressful, so that others may get discouraged in the process. It's actually a very good journey if we pay attention to these little things, little information that we are getting today. I just want to remind us that we have our chat box open so that you can be able to post in your questions, or you can even give us your experiences, because we are almost coming to the end. But before we come to the end, I just want to ask, there is this word that Daktari has mentioned, new start. I like singing it out, because that is what we teach to our little children in the Adventurers Club. Nutrition, exercise, water and sunlight, air, rest and trust in God. How is this important? How is this important in this whole parenting journey, and especially in the stage of conception? What value will it even add if we adhere to this new start framework, new start concept? Daktari, Dr. Oteyo.
Yeah, thank you. So as you correctly put it, the 8, or sometimes some books talk about the 10 strategies. Sometimes we call them, these are natural remedies that is God-given, that does not need very much. And we have to be deliberate and intentional on this. And for the ladies, of course, you will be the partaker of everything. And for the man, you'll be the gatekeeper to ensure this happens. There are certain things that do not even require medication, and we are not ruling out the aspect of medication, because we are not using them as substitutes. But there are certain things that we can do without necessarily losing or preventing ourselves from not attending. So, and part of the third strategy that we need to advise our ladies to take is very simple things that can return you back to balance, or that doesn't require any medication at all, in the sense. Like now, in terms of nutrition, I can tell you, like the craving that Madam had, the scene we saw was not the best. The presence of the tapeworms, basically because perhaps the meat that we were talking about was half-baked. But you can sit down, nutritions are here, or you can consult them such that you can know what is these fundamental things, or as a mother, that I need to practice. The nutrient-dense foods that are very rich, for example, in iron, that can assist, especially in stabilizing the blood sugar and that stuff. And as that, when madam is trying to engage in that good practice, as a dad, you become the kitchen executive. You take charge of that grocery. And of course, to some level, you can prepare a meal for the madam, especially as the nini is moving forward. So we need to spare that. And these are some of the things I look back at. I see, like, I wish I did this. But for those who are parents now, who are in this stage, please, which you can do. The next one, we are talking about the exercise, and Madam Anisha talked about this. Please, sedentary will really affect you, especially the mothers in the house will understand better, especially during the labor period. We are not talking about strenuous exercises, but moderate, low impact daily movement. It can really assist. And it is a win for the fetus because it increases the uterine blood flow and oxygen delivery. And the father here, how can you assist the lady? You become the pacing partner. You can schedule and join the mother on her daily walks, turning exercises into a shared bonding ritual. We're talking about the aspect of the water. Of course, we are guided. Each normal person, maybe you need around 8 glasses of water daily to expand your blood volume. And this is very important. It's a win for the baby because there's continuous clean supply of amniotic fluid and enhanced nutrient transport across the placenta. My brother, if you are at this stage, in fact, you become like an hydrant. You are the one to provide clean, filled water all the time. Then another one we don't pay is the sunshine. It doesn't harm, especially the morning sunshine. 10 to 15 minutes, safe, direct morning sunshine. It is a win for the baby because this is a critical source of vitamin D. And as a dad, you can become the outdoor coordinator for this. You set up a comfortable shared outdoor seating area for madam to enjoy this. The aspect of temperamency, very key. Doing everything in moderation, especially trying to avoid as much as possible the consumption of harmful substances. And we are not saying, and Madam Anisha brought this very well, pregnancy comes with a lot of demands. We are also working, we are also having our deadlines. We have good stress that motivates us to do certain things. But don't allow yourself to be so much engaged in excessive stress, because at the end of the day, it is going to affect your fetus. Let me tell you, especially for those who are in their early lives, sometimes we push ourselves. We suffer from what I call comparison trap. We want to buy, if it is the baby's clothing, big things, maybe to scare or to tell our neighbors, our fellow church members that we are doing well, when even we are not doing well. So please, I wish all of us, we can do things within our means such that we don't suffer from comparison trap, which can be a source of stress. And the man here, you need to be a gatekeeper. The aspect of aeration, please. Aeration one, of course, we need to improve the places where we stay. And Madam brought it very well, Madam Anis, about the relaxation exercises. And we are very many. Like now, we are so much stressed, we are feeling anxious, everything is happening. You can go for a very simple, what we call the turtle technique exercise. Sometimes you become so angry. You see, you can be annoyed with somebody. For example, the house manager. Sometimes they mess us completely. You feel like you can get all of them and smash them. Please, you can do a simple relaxation exercise. We call it the lion breath, where you remove your tongue out, you breathe like a lion, and that anger will just go away. And you see, apart from that, you are exercising your breathing and ensuring that there is maximum supply of oxygen to the baby. Very simple things that you can do. In fact, for the father, if that does not happen, become an environmental inspector to ensure that the house is well done, and you are encouraging madam to do a few relaxation exercises. Then the aspect of rest. Let me tell you, the aspect of the digital, the coming of the digital, the phones, smartphones, it has really consumed our sleep time. The animal that sleeps the lowest number of hours is the horse. The horsemate, or the person who also sleeps the lowest number of hours, are the cadets or the recruits. Those who are towards, I used to teach for the military academy. The cadets were also sleeping for 2 hours. So mothers, why do you want to be housemates or the cadet mates in terms of sleep? Basically because you are watching TikTok or you are engaged in social media. Remember, this strains the nervous system. Please, you can be deliberate in this. We are not saying that you cannot engage in social media, but you can be deliberate in this. And the father, please act your role. Be a sleep guardian. And there's a best way you can do it. Not that commanding. There's a best way. It is your person. Please, you need to know the password for your person. Try to engage any of the cache passwords and see whether you can influence your person to be well. Let me tell you, all this happens because we are experiencing unmerited favor from God. How I wish the mothers in the house would surrender their anxieties, their fears of the future, their pregnancy complications to prayer. We have been a casualty that created a church. We lost our sister because of excessive anxiety, and that excessive anxiety with other related factors and everything, we lost her. How I want to call upon my sisters. I know, and you see, we are talking about ideal families where there is a father. I know there are families, the father the idea and disappeared to the thin air. It's not with you. But I'm telling you today, my sister, when you trust in God, all of those worries how your child is going to be and that stuff. We have been told, Jeremiah, God knew Jeremiah before it was formed. I'm here to tell you that trust, surrender everything to God. Surrender everything to God. And for the man here, you need to be a spiritual anchor. Miriam, what I'm trying to tell the men here, the men in the house, please pray your roles very well. The 4 roles of being a father, a husband, a king, and a priest. God-given roles operate in your offices all around. And my sisters in the house, try to understand, as you are also pregnant, my husband is speaking from which office? If he's speaking like a king, be a queen. Even in a simple dress code. Do you know that's another thing that Anisha we needed to bring? Do you know somebody has become expectant, but the dress code changes and the person becomes, I don't know, what name can I call? But remember, you are married to a king. Even your dress code can be the queen. If your husband is speaking from the office of the priest as much as you are pregnant, excuse me, my sister, be a praying warrior. If your husband is speaking like a father, the provider, my sister, be there as much as you are pregnant. You are the home manager. You are the Najara. If the husband, if your man is speaking like now as the husband, providing the sacrificial love, the cash that we are talking about, my sister, in this case, become a lover. Become a lover by providing honor. And that coexistence will bring the grace-based parenting, which will create a secure bonding and attachment for the babies to come. And at the end of the day, we'll glorify God's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Daktari, for bringing out this framework quite clearly, and for telling us that when we do all these things, then we are creating a foundation, a secure foundation for this child to come into this world. Anisha, are there any therapeutic plays? I like the way this whole child play therapy is coming out. Therapeutic plays that can be able to contribute to this framework for both the mother and the father, how they can be able to contribute into this framework.
Thank you, my sister. I love the way you're laughing, because I know for men they'll be like, why would I play with my wife? That sounds ridiculous. If some of us ladies don't even know how to play, then we have to learn. We have to learn, because play is a universal language. Adults play, children play. And if you want to understand the babies or children, just watch them, observe them play. Okay. And when children play, there is no boundaries. They don't like discriminate. There's no discrimination when they're playing. So you can have a Chinese child, an African child, of any child of any descent, and put them together and they will play, even if they don't understand each other. So play is a universal language. Let us all understand that. Now, when it comes to therapeutic play that can help with the bonding, because we're looking at the triad there. We're looking at the father, the mother, and the fetus, and we're talking about when the child is still in the womb. It's going to take a lot of work for African men, of people from not mostly African, but those people who have been brought up knowing that you cannot be playful with your wife. Yet the times you were dating, the times you're trying to ingisha her box, you were very playful, you try and make her laugh. The same still applies when she's pregnant. Reason being that when she is laughing, the baby gets that. When she's happy, the baby gets that. So what practical things can you do? One of them is rubbing her belly. Rub her belly as much as possible, if you can, all right? Rubbing her feet. Of course, this also helps her relax if you can rub her feet. And please, ladies, don't wait until elder has come to visit your husband. Then you put your feet on top of his leg to help him, ask him to massage your legs. That's not gonna work. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. So find time for you to do some things together. It doesn't have to be like a full 40 minutes or 20 minutes. It can be as simple as 5 minutes once a week, 10 minutes after every 2 weeks, whatever it is that do, let it be consistent. All right. So take walks together, walking together, just walk together. But don't talk about the big, don't talk about things that are going to stress her or stress you. Don't start cases of, oh, you did this, that. It's about the baby. And remember, when this baby is coming into your lives, guys, it takes a lot of work. You have to make it work. You have to work, because there is as I said, you're creating a blueprint for this human being who has no idea what the world has in store for them. They are waiting for you to give them the blueprint. So you're gonna have to take those walks together. You're gonna have to read together and make laughter a daily routine, a daily thing that you do together. Okay. Other things you can do is soft. I don't know if this will work, but those soft wrestling. Please, no, not wrestling as in WW style. Is it WWF or what? That one. No. I'm talking about just play around, and do this also in front of your kids. Those ones who can, those who are not very reserved. Like, do it in front of your kids so that they understand, like, this is a very playful time for us as a family to come in. The laughter of the siblings also is going to create something in the the unborn child. They're going to learn that, oh, there are other kids around this area. There are other people who love me and they're part of my life. Play together, sing together, walk together. touch that stomach if you have to, and sit down and just do nothing together. Sometimes just sit and just do nothing, just sit there together. All right. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not about what you do, it's about your presence as a father. Okay, it's about the presence. I don't know if you guys have ever watched children make a very tall, they're making, like, maybe they're playing with building blocks, then they make it really tall and very nice. And then all of a sudden they knock it down and it falls to pieces. Then they have this beautiful laughter, like they're smiling. And you're like, you've worked so hard in building that thing. Why are you knocking it down? See, to children when they're playing, it's not about the final product. As adults, we do it. To children when they're playing, it's about the process. So there are things that we have to learn and unlearn. Playing with your spouse, playing with a woman who's pregnant does not mean that you're not playing your part as a man of the family or as the father of the baby. It means that you are also creating some blueprint for your new child. All right. The baby might not remember the words you're using at that particular moment, yet we have something called preverbal memories. Preverbal memories are memories that we attain before we even develop words, before we even develop the knowledge of talking. So when the baby does not remember the words, but their nervous system will remember the emotional atmosphere. And that's what I'm saying. It's really, really important that the mother have a very good regulated emotional atmosphere, if possible. So imagine a home filled with gentleness, laughter. I'm sure it won't be all the time, but imagine that kind of a house, that kind of safety and emotional warmth that this baby is experiencing even before coming into this world. So I imagine this child is in the womb and the father's laughter, the father is tickling the woman, he's rubbing her stomach or rubbing her back. For those who have very bad back, are they taking walks together, holding hands, if possible, because I also know life happens. And then this child feels all this emotional warmth. Can you imagine what the child is thinking? Like by the time I'm arriving into this world, the time I'm getting born, how wonderful is it going to be to meet these people? How beautiful will it be for me to actually be part of this family? Again, it's not about perfection, it's about your presence. And of course, some people are not playful. I know some people, it's just not in them, but it's about your presence. Remember, it's about presence, not what matter actually. So touch, use your senses. And again, look at your wife. Is your wife a touchy person? You know their love language. If you know the love language, please try and meet it and make them smile as often as you can. Pray together, pray together, pray together. If you guys can pray together, it's important that the child hears your voice. If you can sing, whatever it is, you can read the book together. Again, go back and do that. So even sitting beside this lady who's pregnant during difficult moments, it's just communicate something. And we are trying to create emotional safety before the child comes into the world. So it's the foundation that we are creating. So can men play? Yes, they can. They can be playful when they want to be. If the man is a bit shy, is a bit reserved, please find ways that he can do something. You can do something together. All right. But don't do it in a place where he's going to feel disrespected in front of his peers, his male friends, or if you can do it alone together, sour. If you can do it in your room, just a few minutes. It doesn't have to be 1 hour, just a few minutes, whenever, as often as possible, that is going to work. All right. Because play is magical. You know that. Over to you, Miriam.
Thank you so much for all these lessons that we have learned. People, we are coming to the close of the hour, top of the hour. We are supposed to be ending at 9 o'clock. And with all this information that we have just been given, I'm just wondering if someone has a question or something they would wish to add to this conversation, or food for thought, or anything. This is your moment. I haven't seen anything on the chat, so I'll give a few minutes to us to be able to do it verbally before we can do the closing for this particular session. Remember, this is grace-based parenting. And grace-based parenting does not begin when your child is 25 or 23, but it begins at conception. And we are just laying the foundation of what kind of a child we are going to have as we go through the different stages. And so our speakers have clearly told us that it is good to do these things. Give cash to the ladies around. The ladies reciprocate by showing respect, showing honor to the man. Let's laugh, let's enjoy creating a safe environment for this child before they actually get to that real environment. Is there any question or area that we need to clarify? This is your moment.
As they try to answer Miriam, I just wanted to add something on what my sister talked about. About, yes, Miriam?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, there are few, especially relaxation and mindfulness exercises that people can engage in that are very useful. Like the mindfulness play therapy, the breathing and chewing, where, for example, you consciously, either in a resting position, especially in a resting position where you count the number of breaths you do in an hour. One, that's a mindfulness exercise that you have met yourself away from all the distractions. You are training your self-reflection. And in a way you can discover, is my breath higher or lower? Because we talk about a woman, an expectant mother, as a resting position, typically could be having around 12 to 16 breaths. And maybe when she's exercising, we're talking about 35 to 45. And you find yourself like they are less. That is something that can be an indicator for you. What is next for me? When you are asleep, you can count. We talk about 12 to 14 breaths. Then I think another thing I've seen that is very evident when our spouses are expectant is the aspect of having a lot of gases. And sometimes gases happen because we grab a lot of air when we are eating. And mindfulness therapy chewing can really assist, where we count the number of chews that we do for a specific food. We are conscious about it, so that you prevent the lapsing of a lot of air that we take, such that and that has to come out in various ways, and it brings a lot of discomfort. And we also say the people can be angry. Yes, people can be annoyed. Yes, and it's normal for people staying together, they can be annoyed. But the question we are talking about is how do you move away from that state that we are talking about? And the one way you can do that is, let me go there. I don't know why it is not moving. It is not moving. Yeah, it is moved. But like when people are angry, there's a common thing that we do to check where are you? You can put yourself in an emotional or a feeling thermometer. I'm so angry. What is my level of anger? Is it yellow? Is it orange? Or it is completely red? And you can talk about it. And we really encourage like this exercise we call the change TV emotional, we call it the emotional TV channel, whereby like you can decide to put several colors, then or several emotions. And these emotions, there's a time you are angry, there's a time you are happy, there's a time, and you are moving that, changing the TV channel. It's a simple exercise. As we say it, this is a stage of emotions. But do you have to be angry all the day? Do you have to be so disgusted all the day? Why can't you change your emotional TV channel by emotionally checking now, knowing where you are? Then after knowing where you are, how do I become emotionally intelligent in expressing these emotions that I'm talking about, and how do I involve my partner? So let us be deliberate, especially in some of the therapeutic exercises, such that we become good, healthy mothers, by extension, our babies, and that brings harmony in our homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daktari, for that addition. I still cannot see any question in the chat, or I'm wondering whether there's any question sent to Elder Mbeche.
Yeah.
Is there
Hello?
any question? Is there any question?
I don't see any questions here. Maybe people should continue asking more questions. We still can channel it in various ways. So if they do, we will share it over the week with the speakers so that we can I can see a question that has just come in. One question that has come in is how do we balance between science and information overload and breast parenting?
Okay, so there is that a question there. How do we balance between science and information overload and grace-based parenting? I would like to ask Dr. Oteyo to kindly respond to that. How can we be able to balance between science? There is what science is telling us, there is information that we have around, and how we can be able to do the grace-based parenting. Okay, as we are getting back to Dr. Oteyo, Anisha, do you have any input?
Oh, sorry for that. I was trying to unmute, but it's okay. Anisha will go first.
Okay.
Okay, so the way I could respond, I will respond to that is that science is a fact, all right? And when you talk about the hormones, when you talk about your nervous system, that is science, it's there. And when we talk about our faith, is who we are as people, and we have to find a way of understanding how my body works. If as a woman who's pregnant, I understand that these are the hormones that are responsible for such and such a reaction, then I get that information that is consistent with my body, like physiologically things that I can get that makes sense and are proven scientifically. And I'm not a preacher, so with faith I'll get the ones who are good at that to say that. And also with overload is, I know there's a lot of information out here, or also maybe also we're also giving you too much information, but again it's about just sitting down and relating to it and saying, looking at it as from the aspect of what is working for me, what makes sense for me, how am I relating with this? Is this something that I've gone through? Is it something that I've seen someone go through? Because most of the things we're talking about, they're facts. As much as they're science, yes, but they are fact. If I am stressed emotionally, it means that my body has or immediately released some some stress hormone, and it has actually traveled everywhere, my entire body, to the unborn child. So again, don't consume so much. I think our problem is when we rush too much to get all the information, to get answers, to fix. Yeah, the problem is fixing. So there is this situation, I can't make sense of it, so I'm going to fix it by trying to get the correct answer that matches what I perceive. So maybe it's just about looking at listening to your body and seeing where the line falls, like which one works for you. I don't know if that has answered somehow. I'll give it back to Dr. to explain the rest.
Thank you. Thank you for these. These are two-pronged question. The first thing is about one. I agree. Anybody who is able to type anything can be able to give information in the net. And maybe, for example, when you are searching, you can easily get any information. That information can be misleading. And it's very common with the current generation, even when you have gone for medication and the doctors are here, the first thing that the person does is to check the side effects and that stuff, and they keep on questioning you and asking you a lot about that. Even us as therapists, psychology therapists, we really get a challenge. Sometimes, in fact, your client becomes the expert and you become the client. You reverse roles, but one is to exercise as a professional, is to exercise some emotional intelligence, and sometimes we assist clients. I remember one client, I'm sorry to give that example, where after we have gone through the session, he said, "You have told me what is ordinary. What am I paying you for?" I didn't feel offended, but I took my client through, because I'd taken my client through the decision-making, the model. But he said, "This is so ordinary." And then I asked that client, like, "Did you know it?" And when the client didn't tell me that, he told me that he didn't know it. So basically, this is what you are paying me for. And the client is very sorry. And after that, he has been my best in terms of giving me clients. So, but the point I'm trying to say here is, especially on the issues of parenting, good friends, we need to embrace functional parenting. Functional in the sense is what is doable and what is possible based on your values. And you see, values, you get them from your cultures, values you get from your religion, values sometimes you get it from your profession. There is what is acceptable, and whatever I'm being given, knowing that the experts are coming could be coming from various backgrounds. So you consume, you deliberately set consumption boundaries in terms of the information that you need. And please rely on trusted professionals. Like now for psychology, we have the counselors and psychologists board that has listed all of us who have been trained and all of us who have been registered and practicing. That's one way that you can prevent yourself from some of the being the victims of the quacks. Please prioritize your safety. If you are a mother, prioritize your safety on the information that you consume. Prioritize the safety of your child and the safety of your family. And in most of the cases, is either mistakes or things we didn't do, we use it as a basis, as an opportunity for learning or unlearning so that we become better. But please, either therapy or whatever we are looking for is not to fix the mistakes, but is to use those mistakes as an opportunity for learning. And when you have that growth mindset, you are likely to overcome that. I don't know whether I've answered our questioner. Thank you, and back to you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Daktari. You have been able to answer that. Now, I'm just going to pose one last question before we can have the parting shots from the two speakers. And this question is, how long does this period last? There are changes that the woman can go through. And we are also saying that the man needs to do certain things. For how long? Is there a possibility that someone can get tired along the way? And if they get tired along the way, what do they need to do? Remember, we are talking about grace-based parenting. And this parenting starts from what we do to each other as couples as well. Yeah? So what would happen in that kind of a scenario? I hope you got my question. Daktari, what do you think we need to be able to do, and how long does this period last?
My view is it lasts slightly after the 41 weeks, 41 up to around 42 somewhere before the really caregiving begins. And it is these two or this one, so sometimes you can be one, to make it lively, to make it interesting. We need to be deliberate on this. Why am I talking about beyond the pregnancy, especially this conception? We have the post-natal, the immediate postnatal effects that is coming from the conception. For example, I don't know, the tummy may not go back as soon as you could wish. Sometimes there are issues that the milk may not come out as you could have wished. Some parents, they suffer from what we call the postpartum stress disorder. And so that's what I'm saying. Before we even transit to the caregiving, this period can slightly extend from 0 months to a few weeks before you can transit now, because based on how the delivery happened and other factors, it can slightly extend. So in fact, I always joke that as the lady is physically pregnant, the man will also need to be psychologically, emotionally pregnant. In the sense, remember, you are the one now maybe who's not suffering from this physical. What is this that I need to do for this journey not to suffer from compassionate fatigue? The fatigue of caring. It also depends the type of the pregnancy and the condition of the expectant mother, of course. There are chances. Then equally, that compassionate fatigue or the tiredness that comes, he can also seek for help. The man can also seek for help, such that he is like refueling, is like getting a current from a professional helper. So, and I'm saying this, whatever we were giving as a workshop is not substituting what is the advices that is given with the medics. And I'm not a medic myself. I may not be able to talk about like one question talking about the scan and that stuff. The medics in the house, maybe this is what another thing, like when we touch anything physical, do we include the medics in our workshops? So I may not be competent to talk about that. So to answer your question is, it begins from the day we suspect we may have conceived, and slightly after that. And the man in the house, please pray well in your God-given roles to ensure that that period is lively, interesting, and it is happening with God's grace. Without God's grace, the aspect of sacrifice your love, that is not likely to happen. My brother, you are likely to give an empty check if you don't pace in God. You must have GOD. You must have the G3. You need God. You need to be good, and in the process, you'll assist madam to triumph through, and you will be making goal. So G3 is MUST, my sister Miriam.
Thank you so much, Daktari, for responding adequately to that question. Final remarks, Ms. Anisha, before we can have a prayer.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much. My final remark will be also to comment slightly on the last question. We're going to mess up, all right? The parenting and this journey of grace-based parenting, we don't have a manual. Nobody has a manual. Nobody comes prepared for it. So we're going to mess up. We're going to do the wrong things when we shouldn't. But the good thing is that by God's grace, even imperfect parents can raise emotionally secure children. Even with imperfect parents, we can still love, we can still be aware, we can still be present. And the good thing about the brain, it's the neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire, reorganize itself around something that has hurt it or destroyed it. Yeah. So with that ability that God has given us, we can repair. So you're going to mess up, but don't give up. Just pick it up the pieces and let us do better. Let us try and be present. Let us create peace where we can. Let us be try and connect with each other where we can, and appreciate even each other for the little or the much that someone is giving. Again, people are not, we're not born, we were not raised with the same parents, so definitely we have different we come with different perspective as it comes to parenting. So let us extend the same grace to our partners as they're also extending grace to us, so that we can all be present and aware. Thank you so much, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Anisha, for that parting shot. Daktari Oteyo, last words before we request Pastor Owili to be able to close for us this session.
Thank you so much, Miriam and Family Life, for giving us this opportunity to give our professional aspect in this area. And thank you for those who have attended. And one thing that is coming out is God makes the architecture, but it is up to us, the men and the women in this audience and others who will listen to us, to manage the prenatal environment which God has already given an architecture design. So it's up to you as parents to ensure that your choices, it is for the betterment of the mother who has the privilege to carry that baby on your behalf. And with God's grace as the man, what is this that we do in our lives to ensure that harmonious environment is in the home? We are promoting the mother's health, and by extension, we promote the healthy growth and development of the fighters in the glory of God. That's my take for today, and thank you. Join us in the next series.
Thank you so much, Daktari, and thank you so much, Ms. Anisha, for taking us through the conceptual stage as the foundation of the grace-based parenting. We are so happy that you spared time, your whole 2 hours, to be able to speak to us, and may God bless you abundantly. Members, we have come to the end of this particular series, the first session of the presentation, and we will be having our next session next Sunday, same time. So we'll use the same login credentials, the password, and the code, the ID. So keep that so that you can be able to join in our next session that will take place next Sunday. Pastor Owili, are you there with us?
Yeah, thank you so much, Miriam. You've said it all for all of us, and on our behalf. We actually want to appreciate our speakers who have taken their time to go with us through this session. And we keep on praying that each and every member, please invite your family members, invite your friends to join. We don't want to be able to miss this opportunity, because you never know when we will organize such an event again. And so let's take advantage of it. Invite all the people you can be able to invite, share the link, share the flyer, so that everybody can be able to join. And see you next Sunday, and we love you all. Thank you so much. Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for the blessed evening we've had, with full of blessing and wisdom. We thank you so much for our two speakers whom you have given unto us. It is our prayer that you may bless them abundantly. And as you're blessing them, use them to bless us as well. May your grace be sufficient as we begin a new week. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
if you want to reach to our speakers, we will be able to share their contacts with you, and so that you can be able to get individualized care, or if you have a personal question that you need to ask, they are open to receive your questions as well. Thank you so much. See you next Sunday. May God bless you. Bye-bye.